Darkness. A vast alien torture chamber, carved from black metal, where the only light comes from energy restraints flickering with violent precision. 3 human women generals hang in suspension, armor shattered, ranks torn away, blood drifting slowly in low gravity. They are alive. Not because the Galactic Empire shows mercy, but because suffering is the point. An Imperial commander circles them calmly, his voice amplified and broadcast across the galaxy. "Behold humanity's finest," he says with a smile. "Your strongest leaders, reduced to proof of your weakness." The restraints activate. Pain surges through their bodies, but not a single scream escapes. Millions of alien worlds are watching. "This is what happens," the commander continues, "when a lesser species forgets its place." He stops in front of the central general, lifting her chin with a clawed hand. "Your people won't come," he whispers. "They will watch you break." Slowly, against every expectation, the general looks up. Blood runs down her face. But she smiles. "You made one mistake," she says quietly. The commander laughs. "Oh? Enlighten me." "You thought humans only know how to fight wars," she replies. "You didn't realize we also know how to end them." She breathes out a single name. "Baba Yaga." The commander frowns. "A god? A myth?" Her smile widens. "No," she says. "It's what we send when mercy is no longer an option." At that exact moment, far beyond the chamber, Imperial outposts go dark. Stars vanish from navigation charts. Entire fleets disappear without a distress call. And for the first time in recorded history, the galaxy understands the truth. Humanity is no longer fighting to survive. Humanity is hunting. The Galactic Empire believed humanity was predictable. Too emotional. Too divided. Too young as a spacefaring species to matter in a real war. They had conquered civilizations older than Earth's recorded history. Species that had mastered energy manipulation, stellar engineering, and genetic war forms. Compared to them, humans were supposed to collapse within months. They did not. What the Empire failed to understand was that humanity did not survive by being stronger. It survived by learning faster. When the first Imperial fleet struck human colonies, Earth's defenses shattered. Entire worlds were lost. But with every defeat, human commanders adapted, rewriting doctrines mid-battle, turning civilian technologies into weapons, and exploiting weaknesses the Empire had never needed to fix. From that chaos, 3 names began to spread across the warfront. Names spoken with respect by humans. And with growing unease by the Empire. General Aisha Khan, the strategist. Aisha Khan rarely stood on a battlefield. She didn't need to. To her, war was a living equation. Every fleet movement, supply line, and political pressure point formed patterns only she seemed to see. She anticipated Imperial maneuvers days before they happened, forcing the Empire to react, something it had not done in centuries. After the first major human counteroffensive, an Imperial tactician submitted a classified report. "Human command is not responding to our strategies. They are preempting them." That was Aisha's doing. General Mira Volkov, the Iron Admiral. Where Aisha planned, Mira Volkov executed. She commanded humanity's deep space fleets with ruthless efficiency. Under her command, human ships did not fight fair. They fought smart, using debris fields, gravity distortions, and electronic warfare to cripple superior Imperial vessels. Mira treated space itself as a weapon. Imperial captains learned to fear silence. Because when Mira's fleet went dark, it meant she was already inside their defensive perimeter. Her rule was simple. Victory is mandatory. Survival is optional. General Rhea Solis, the groundbreaker. If the Empire landed troops on a human world, Rhea Solis was never far behind. She led planetary defense and reclamation campaigns, fighting alongside infantry rather than behind them. Her presence turned retreats into counterattacks and defeats into holding actions that bought humanity time to strike back. Rhea believed leadership meant shared risk. She bled where her soldiers bled. That terrified the Empire. A dangerous combination. Individually, the generals were formidable. Together, they were devastating. Aisha predicted the battlefield. Mira dominated space. Rhea held the ground. Human forces stopped collapsing. Then they began to win. Colonies that should have fallen held out. Imperial advances slowed. Resistance cells rallied under the belief that humanity could endure. The Empire recognized the problem. It wasn't just losing battles. It was losing control of the narrative. The three generals had become symbols, proof that humans could stand against an ancient power and refuse to kneel. And the Galactic Empire had learned, through centuries of conquest, one immutable rule. If you want to break a species, you don't destroy its armies. You destroy its symbols. So the Empire began to plan. Not a battle. Not an invasion. But a betrayal. One that would ignite something far worse than war. The ceasefire announcement stunned both sides. For the first time since the war began, the Galactic Empire did not issue threats or demands. Instead, a single, carefully worded transmission echoed across every known human frequency. The Empire proposes negotiations. Neutral space was designated. Treaty law was cited. Observers from 3 non-aligned species were invited. On paper, it was flawless. General Aisha Khan studied the proposal in silence. She highlighted inconsistencies, minor ones, buried in legal phrasing and orbital coordinates. Nothing concrete. Nothing she could prove. General Mira Volkov disliked it immediately. Empires don't negotiate when they're still winning, she said flatly. General Rhea Solis checked and rechecked troop readiness. Her instinct screamed danger, but instinct was not evidence. Human high command hesitated. Refusing talks would brand humanity as unreasonable. Accepting them might buy time. And time, in this war, had always been humanity's greatest weapon. They agreed. The delegation was limited by treaty. No heavy weapons. No active combat fleets within range. Power levels reduced to civilian standards. Mira hated every second of it. The human convoy entered the neutral system precisely on schedule. Imperial ships were already there, few in number, holding a respectful distance. Their weapons were cold. Their formations loose. Too loose. Aisha noticed the silence first. "Where are the background emissions?" she asked quietly. Before anyone could answer, space-time folded. Gravity surged without warning, slamming human ships out of formation. Navigation systems screamed as artificial mass wells activated across the system. Imperial warships decloaked. Hundreds of them. They formed a perfect sphere around the human convoy, every vector covered, every escape route sealed. Mira reached for the command channel. "Bring weapons online." Too late. The first volley was not aimed at hulls, but at engines and reactors. Human ships died cleanly, silently, unable to return fire without violating treaty protocols that no longer mattered. Boarding pods launched. Rhea's troops fought back, even unarmed. Bulkheads became kill zones. Corridors filled with smoke, blood, and broken bodies. But the Empire had not come to slaughter everyone. They had come for 3 people. Shock-stunned fields dropped the generals to their knees. Neural suppressors locked their muscles, freezing them in place as Imperial forces secured the decks. Aisha realized the truth as cold metal restraints snapped shut. "This wasn't a ceasefire," she said. "It was a harvest." The generals were separated, then reunited aboard an Imperial command vessel, stripped of armor, rank, and weapons. The human convoy was annihilated behind them. Across the galaxy, the Empire broadcast the footage. 3 human generals in chains. An Imperial commander addressed the stars. "Let this be known," he declared. "Humanity's resistance ends today. Their leaders live only so their breaking may be witnessed." On Earth, the transmission played in silence. No one spoke. Because humanity understood something the Empire did not. This was not the end of the war. It was the moment the war stopped being fought by rules. The Galactic Empire did not believe in chaos. Everything it built followed symmetry, hierarchy, and control. Even its prisons were monuments, vast structures of black alloy and cold precision, orbiting a dead star whose gravity ensured nothing ever escaped. This was where the Empire broke symbols. The three human generals were taken deep into the complex, beyond military holding cells, beyond interrogation wings, into a chamber designed not to extract information, but to erase identity. They were suspended in separate containment fields, close enough to see one another, far enough that they could not touch. No clocks. No windows. No sense of time. The first phase was silence. Days passed without sound or movement. The Empire knew humans feared isolation. Deprived of stimulus, minds turned inward. Memories decayed. Hope followed. But the generals did not break. Aisha mapped the chamber in her head, tracking energy fluctuations and guard rotations she could barely see. Mira controlled her breathing, slowing her heart to conserve strength. Rhea focused on her soldiers' faces, refusing to let their names fade. The second phase began with an audience. Holographic projectors activated, flooding the chamber with images, human colonies burning, refugees fleeing, resistance cells being overrun. Some were real. Others were fabrications, designed to blur truth and despair. An Imperial overseer spoke calmly. "Your war is over," it said. "Your species is already submitting. You are being shown mercy by being allowed to witness the end." Rhea laughed. It was hoarse and weak, but it echoed through the chamber. "You don't understand humans," she said. "We don't surrender because things look bad. We surrender when we stop believing." The overseer tilted its head. The third phase was pain, but not the kind the Empire expected. Neural stimulators activated, not to tear nerves apart, but to force the body to relive failure. Every lost battle. Every order that sent soldiers to their deaths. Every hesitation. Aisha felt the weight of 1,000 decisions pressed down on her. Mira tasted vacuum and fire again as ships died under her command. Rhea heard the screams of wounded troops calling for help she could not give. Still, none of them begged. The Empire grew frustrated. Pain should lead to compliance. Fear should lead to submission. Instead, it led to something else. Defiance. During one inspection, the Imperial commander responsible for the broadcasts approached the chamber. "You are wasting time," he said. "Your people will watch this and lose hope." Aisha met his gaze. "No," she replied. "They'll learn." He frowned. "Learn what?" "That you're afraid of us," Mira said. The commander laughed. "Afraid? You are chained. Your fleets are gone." Rhea leaned forward as far as the field allowed. "And yet," she said quietly, "you're still keeping us alive." Silence fell. The commander turned away, but the doubt lingered. That night, the Empire escalated. The generals were brought together for the first time, forced to kneel before a live transmission feed. The galaxy watched as restraints tightened and pain surged again. The commander addressed the audience. "Behold humanity's finest," he declared. "Unbroken bodies are meaningless. Watch as their spirits fail." The pain peaked. And then Mira laughed. It was soft at first. Almost a breath. Then stronger. The commander froze. "What is amusing?" he demanded. Mira lifted her head, eyes burning with something the Empire could not categorize. "You made a mistake," she said. The commander leaned closer. "Explain." "You turned us into martyrs," Aisha added. "And humans don't forget martyrs." Rhea smiled through bloodied lips. "You wanted to break symbols," she said. "You just forged one. Far away, on Earth, encrypted channels lit up. Ancient protocols unlocked. And a single, long-buried designation surfaced on black screens across humanity's deepest command layers. Project Baba Yaga. The Empire did not hear it. But it was already too late. The broadcast reached Earth 27 minutes after it began. Not because of distance, but because Earth's filters tried to block it. The Galactic Empire had overridden civilian channels, military relays, and deep space comm buoys. The signal forced its way through every screen, every visor, every public display from orbital stations to underground shelters. Humanity watched in silence. 3 generals in chains. 3 voices refusing to break. When the feed ended, no one cheered. No one screamed. Silence settled over Earth like a held breath. Then the doors of the Terran Strategic Council sealed shut. No press. No aides. No live records. Only those cleared for black-level history remained. Admiral Huang broke the silence first. "They want us angry," he said. "They want a reckless response." A civilian analyst shook her head slowly. "No," she replied. "They want us afraid." At the far end of the chamber, an old man who had not spoken in years finally stood. His uniform bore no visible insignia, by design. "They want us broken," he said. The room stilled. He tapped the table once. "Open the archive." The AI hesitated. "Authorization required." The man placed his palm against the console. Genetic confirmation followed. Then something rarer. Historical override, approved. Lights dimmed. Hidden displays activated. A single word appeared. Baba Yaga. No one in the room spoke. Some remembered the name from half-forgotten war colleges. Others knew it only as a rumor, a story told to frighten cadets into obedience. Admiral Huang swallowed. That project was buried for a reason. "Yes," the old man replied. "Because it works." The archive unfolded. Baba Yaga was not a ship. Not a weapon. It was a doctrine. A contingency for extinction-level threats. Designed during humanity's earliest interstellar years, when Earth realized it could never outmatch ancient empires in raw power. So it chose something else. Asymmetry. Untraceability. Relentless pursuit. Baba Yaga units did not hold territory. They erased it. They did not issue warnings. They left absence. Autonomous strike fleets, human-AI hybrids, Black Ops soldiers trained to operate beyond conventional ethics or surrender protocols. Their mission parameters were simple. End the threat. Permanently. A younger officer spoke, voice tight. "If we activate this, there's no de-escalation." The old man nodded. "That's the point." Another counselor looked at the frozen image of the 3 generals on the screen. "They're still alive," she said. "If we move now." "They're alive because the Empire thinks we won't," the old man cut in. "They think we still believe in rules." He turned toward the display again. "They tortured our leaders on a public stage," he said quietly. "They broadcast it to terrify us." His eyes hardened. "They have just qualified themselves." The AI spoke again. "Final confirmation required. Activation of Project Baba Yaga will result in unbounded operations." The room stood as one. Admiral Huang gave the order. "Activate." Across Earth and its hidden colonies, sealed hangars opened. Ships that officially did not exist powered on. Crews whose names were not on any roster took their places. Deep in the data core, a final line appeared. Target classification. Galactic Empire, existential threat. Somewhere in Imperial space, a navigation beacon went dark. No alarm sounded. No declarations were sent. But the war had changed forever. Humanity had stopped defending itself. And something ancient, patient, and merciless had just been unleashed. In the Galactic Empire, every threat had a classification. Insurgencies were crushed. Rival empires were contained. Extinction-level events were calculated, predicted, and neutralized. Humans, until now, had been filed under persistent resistance. That classification was about to be erased. Because Baba Yaga was not a weapon the Empire could catalog. It was not designed to win wars. It was designed to end civilizations that refused to stop. The name itself came from old Earth mythology, a monster that lived in the dark forests, feared not because it attacked openly, but because it hunted silently. Something you only noticed when it was already too late. Humanity chose the name deliberately. Baba Yaga doctrine rejected everything the Galactic Empire understood about warfare. No front lines. No declarations. No negotiations. Only results. At its core, Baba Yaga was a network, autonomous strike groups scattered across deep space, each capable of independent operation for decades. They carried no official transponders, used no standard communication channels, and followed no predictable logistics. They did not occupy planets. They removed them from the war. The fleets themselves were unsettling. Human-built, but stripped of recognizable design philosophy. Angular hulls optimized for sensor disruption. Engines tuned for short, impossible jumps that violated known safety margins. And then there were the crews. Baba Yaga operatives were volunteers. Every one of them had read the rules and signed anyway. Rule 1, no surrender. Capture was not an outcome. Extraction was not guaranteed. Rule 2, no witnesses. If the Empire learned how Baba Yaga operated, the doctrine failed. Rule 3, no mercy. Targets were chosen by threat potential, not political value. Humanity had debated the morality of Baba Yaga for generations. And then the Empire broadcast the torture of 3 generals. The debate ended. Deep within one Baba Yaga command vessel, an AI core finished its final synchronization. It did not speak in human language. It did not need to. Its task was simple. Identify Imperial systems critical to command cohesion. Remove them. The first strike did not target a capital world. It targeted infrastructure. An Imperial relay hub vanished without explosion, its mass folded into a localized gravity collapse that left nothing but distorted space. 3 fleets lost contact instantly. Supply depots began to fail. Not destroyed, just gone. Imperial analysts noticed a pattern only after it was too late. These attacks were not random. They were surgical. Cut communications. Isolate fleets. Starve worlds of coordination. Panic spread through Imperial command. We are losing systems without engagement, one officer reported. There are no enemy signatures. Another whispered the question no one wanted to ask. What if the humans aren't attacking us? The silence that followed was answer enough. Far from Imperial sensors, a Baba Yaga commander reviewed the next sequence. His face was calm, almost expressionless. They're starting to notice, an officer said. The commander nodded. Good, he replied. Fear means they're paying attention. He looked at the final line of the operation brief. Primary objective. Demonstrate inevitability. Because Baba Yaga was not meant to terrify the Empire into surrender. It was meant to teach the galaxy a permanent lesson. You can defeat humans in battle. You can even conquer their worlds. But if you torture their leaders, if you turn their suffering into entertainment, humanity will stop being a civilization and become a story told in whispers. The first Imperial fleet vanished without a battle. No distress signal. No weapons discharge. No debris field. One moment it existed, guarding a major trade corridor near the Caraxes Reach. The next, every ship was gone. Imperial command assumed sensor failure. Then a second fleet disappeared. Then a third. Panic crept into a military that had not felt it in 10,000 years. Emergency councils convened. Analysts flooded data cores with projections, trying to force logic onto an enemy that refused to be seen. This is not a conventional attack, one strategist admitted. We are losing assets without engagement parameters. The words tasted like fear. On the edges of Imperial space, Baba Yaga strike groups moved in absolute silence. They did not burn engines unless necessary. They did not transmit unless ordered. Human-AI hybrid cores calculated probabilities in real time, predicting Imperial reactions before they occurred. Where the Empire concentrated forces, Baba Yaga withdrew. Where it felt safe, they struck. Imperial outposts went dark one by one. Not destroyed or erased. Whole stations vanished, their mass folded inward by precision gravity weapons that left no explosion to detect. Navigation charts filled with gaps. Trade routes collapsed. Worlds that depended on Imperial logistics found themselves alone overnight. Refugees began to flee. Then the Empire made its first mistake. It sent a message. A wide-spectrum broadcast, filled with rage and disbelief. Humanity, the Imperial High Commander declared. You have violated every law of war. You will answer for this. The reply came 12 hours later. A single data packet. No encryption. Just 3 words. We already are. The next strike targeted an Imperial shipyard complex, one of the largest ever built. Thousands of vessels in various stages of construction. Baba Yaga forces did not attack the ships. They attacked the dock's gravity anchors. The entire structure tore itself apart, ships colliding silently in vacuum as the artificial gravity collapsed. The loss crippled Imperial fleet production in a single system. Imperial commanders began to whisper a new word. Predators. They're not advancing, one officer said during a crisis briefing. They're circling. Another added, voice shaking. They know where we'll be before we decide to go there. Across Imperial space, morale cracked. Crews refused deep space assignments. Captains demanded escorts that no longer existed. Entire task forces huddled near core worlds, afraid to be alone. That was when Baba Yaga changed tactics. A strike group deliberately allowed itself to be seen. Imperial sensors lit up as a single black vessel appeared at the edge of a fortified system. Its silhouette was wrong, too angular, too quiet. A full battle group rushed to intercept. The Baba Yaga ship did not flee. It waited. When the Imperial fleet closed in, their weapons locked, the black vessel transmitted a final message. You wanted witnesses. Then it jumped. Not away. Through them. Space tour. Gravitational shear ripped Imperial ships apart from the inside, crushing hulls and snapping spines as the Baba Yaga vessel exited beyond the fleet, untouched. The survivors broke formation. Panic spread. For the first time in recorded history, Imperial commanders issued an order that would have been unthinkable days earlier. Retreat from human space. Avoid engagement. But Baba Yaga did not stop. Because this phase was never about victory. It was about certainty. Every Imperial officer, every soldier, every citizen needed to understand one thing. There was no safe distance. There was no sanctuary. Somewhere, deep in Imperial territory, the prison orbiting the dead star continued its broadcasts, 3 human generals still alive, still defiant. A Baba Yaga commander watched the feed in silence. Phase 3, an aide asked. He nodded once. Prepare extraction, he said. And mark every asset involved in their imprisonment. The aide hesitated. All of them? The commander's voice was flat. All of them. Because humanity had finished making a point. Now it was time to collect what was theirs. The prison orbiting the dead star had never been breached. Its gravity well alone was enough to tear unshielded ships apart. Layered defense platforms, automated kill zones, and overlapping fleets made it a monument to Imperial certainty. That certainty lasted exactly 4 minutes. Imperial sensors detected the anomaly too late, a distortion not of energy, but of absence. Systems reported missing data where space should have been. Then the first defense platform went offline. Not destroyed. Simply gone. Baba Yaga strike craft emerged inside the prison's gravity envelope, their hulls bending reality in ways Imperial physics could not explain. Defense turrets tracked them for less than a second before losing targeting solutions entirely. Boarding teams deployed in silence. No battle cries. No warnings. Imperial guards died where they stood, their weapons useless against soldiers who moved like ghosts, human silhouettes enhanced by adaptive armor and predictive AI. In the central detention chamber, the broadcast continued. The Imperial commander was mid-sentence when the lights dimmed. Let this serve as the final lesson too. The wall behind him ceased to exist. Not exploded. Removed. Cold void spilled into the chamber as a black armored figure stepped through the breach, magnetic boots locking onto the floor. The commander turned, disbelief freezing his features. What are you?" he demanded. The Baba Yaga commander regarded him calmly. "We're the consequence," he replied. Energy restraints collapsed simultaneously. The three generals fell, caught before they hit the floor. Rhea was on her feet first, even weakened. Mira steadied herself against a soldier's shoulder. Aisha looked around the chamber, already calculating. "You're late," Mira rasped. The commander inclined his head slightly. "Apologies, ma'am," he said. "We wanted them to understand why." Alarms screamed throughout the station. Imperial reinforcements flooded corridors, too many, too fast. The Baba Yaga commander turned to the generals. "Extraction window is 90 seconds, he said. "Can you move?" Rhea smiled through bruised lips. "Try to stop us." The retreat was not clean. Imperial soldiers poured in, firing wildly. Baba Yaga units formed a moving wall, every shot calculated, every motion efficient. Where they advanced, Imperial resistance collapsed. As the last shuttle launched, the prison station began to fail. Deep in its core, charges detonated, not explosives, but gravity inverters. The dead star's pull surged, tearing the structure apart piece by piece. From the shuttle bay, the generals watched the prison die. Aisha broke the silence. "They'll call this a massacre," she said. The Baba Yaga commander nodded. "They can call it whatever helps them sleep." Mira looked at the stars beyond the viewport. "What happens now?" The commander met her gaze. "Now," he said. "Now the Empire learns what it costs to make an example of humans." Behind them, the prison collapsed into the star it once orbited, erased from history. Across Imperial space, a final transmission spread. Not a threat. Not a declaration. A record. Coordinates of destroyed fleets. Names of erased systems. And one closing line, translated into every known language. "The debt is not paid." The galaxy listened. And understood. Humanity had come for its own. And it was not finished. The war did not end with a treaty. There were no victory parades, no declarations of peace signed in grand halls. The Galactic Empire simply stopped expanding. Worlds once ruled by imperial governors went silent. Fleets recalled themselves to core systems and never emerged again. Borders that had existed for millennia were quietly redrawn, not by negotiation, but by absence. Historians would later argue about when the empire truly fell. Some said it was the day Baba Yaga was unleashed. Others said it was the moment the prison station vanished into the dead star. But most agreed on one thing. The galaxy changed the day it learned what humans do when pushed too far. The three generals returned to Earth without ceremony. No cameras followed them. No speeches were made. They were alive, and that was enough. General Aisha Khan resumed her place in strategic command, though she never again trusted peace offered by force. General Miravolkov took the fleets farther into deep space than any human had gone before, not to conquer, but to ensure no one ever tried again. General Ria Solis returned to training grounds, teaching soldiers a lesson written in blood. Strength is not cruelty, but survival sometimes requires it. As for Baba Yaga, officially, the project was classified as inactive. Unofficially, its fleets never stood down. They did not patrol borders. They did not enforce laws. They waited. Across the galaxy, new rules began to appear in interstellar accords, often unspoken, sometimes written in trembling legal language. Do not torture human prisoners. Do not broadcast human suffering. Do not mistake restraint for weakness. On distant worlds, parents warned their children with a new kind of story. Not of monsters that hunted in the dark, but of humans who would become monsters only if forced. Centuries later, an alien scholar summarized the conflict in a single line etched into the Galactic Archive. Humanity does not seek war, but when war is brought to them, they finish it. In a sealed vault beneath Earth's crust, a dormant AI monitored the stars. Its systems were quiet, patient, waiting for the next civilization that might forget the lesson. Because Baba Yaga was never a weapon meant to be used often. It was a reminder. A warning written not in words, but in vanished fleets, broken empires, and a galaxy that learned, far too late. You can defeat humans. You can even break their worlds. But if you break their people, humanity will answer. And the answer will be remembered.